What's up, Guru Nation? Welcome in to the Guru Nation podcast. I'm your host, Spencer the Guru, here today, tonight, whenever you're listening to the Guru Nation podcast. Unfortunately, my loyal co-host, Josh Como, could not make it today, feeling a little under the weather. We wish him the best. Hope he will be back with us next week. But yeah, we're just gonna have to run this one solo. Y'all gonna get into some Super Bowl talk, y'all. It's Super Bowl Sunday this week. It's here. We finally made it, y'all. We're gonna make it through the 2020/21 season unscathed. It's crazy that we got this far, but I'm very thankful we did. It was a fun year, even though my Saints didn't make it, as we see here. I thought we'd be there, man. I really did, but unfortunately couldn't quite pull it off. But we got Chiefs-Bucs. Sunday should be a great game. So in today's episode, we will dive into that we'll keep going with the quarterback talk. We had a big trade go down. Matt Stafford dealt. We'll get into that. Deshaun Watson still on the table, as well as still who's going to be the Saints quarterback. Still a lot of questions, and we're going to wrap it up with some NBA talk, y'all. I know some of y'all like the NBA, some basketball. We're going to get into that. Their season's hot and heavy. So let's roll with it. Alrighty. So before we get into this Super Bowl talk, I think we want to start it off. Let's go over this quarterback stuff again, because that was our focus on last week's episode. So for those that missed last week's, we'll catch y'all up here as far as what's going on with this quarterback market. And it all started, it actually was crazy. It all started right after we filmed the episode. Matthew Stafford, boom, gets traded to the Los Angeles Rams in exchange for Jared Goff and 3 draft picks. Those draft picks included a 2021 third rounder, so only 1 draft pick for this year, but also includes a 2022 and a 2023 first rounder. So 2 first round picks given up along with Jared Goff. The Lions took on all of Goff's ugly contract, I believe. So if anything, Goff was like the downside of that deal for Detroit. But they're talking as if they want him to be their franchise quarterback. So the belief is that for this season, they're going to go with him and see how he does. And if he does well, then cool. If not, well, we've got a bunch of first-round picks on tap the next couple years if he would flop to where we'd be able to get us a franchise quarterback. So I feel like the trade was a big win for Detroit. Matt Stafford clearly wanted out. It was time that they parted ways. The organization was headed for yet another rebuild. It was been probably like the 3rd rebuild since he got drafted there a little over 10 years ago. So, I mean, yeah, he had just had enough, and I couldn't blame him. He's on the back 9 of his career. He's had back problems. It is, the injuries and such. It's unfortunate. He's a really good quarterback. It's just he's been on a bad team and had just a lot of bad circumstances, bad luck. Some of it, I guess you could say, was in his control. Some years he could have done better, but I mean, shoot, he's really been up against it. But he'll have his chance now with the Rams. We'll see if he can truly be able to bring a team to the promised land, because the Rams have all the pieces. They have all the pieces in place for that to happen. I mean, they've got a strong running game, it looks like, with Cam Akers looking like he's a strong lead running back. They got a good defense, led of course by Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, all those guys. I mean, great. Well, arguably the best defense in the NFL. I mean, with all that factored in, and great receivers, Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, he's got everything he needs. So there's no excuses now for Matthew Stafford. He can't use the excuse of he's hindered on Detroit, being stuck on Detroit with an incompetent organization coaching staff. No, the ball's in his court now. It's time for Matthew Stafford to show what he can do. And honestly, if he doesn't bring home at least 1 Lombardi to the Rams, this trade will probably go down as a failure for them because of what they gave up. They gave up the house to get Matthew Stafford. They not only gave up their current starter, they also gave up a lot of draft picks. So, I mean, to me, it's Super Bowl or bust at this point if you're the Rams. Like my Saints went into this season, kind of Super Bowl or bust. And it was bust, unfortunately. But, I mean, that's kind of what the Rams are doing. That's kind of a dangerous game to play. But that's what they seem to want to do. McVay, he's a young coach, but he seems kind of similar to Sean Payton in that he's a risk taker. He wants to win now. And so I think this could really work out for him though, because I mean I think Stafford, if he can stay healthy, has another 4 or 5 years left in the tank. So I mean, shoot, that's a lot of chances to bring home the bacon there with the Super Bowl. So I mean that could. We'll see what happens. I think there's a good chance he pulls it off. Matt Stafford's a really good quarterback, especially with a supporting cast. So I mean, obviously need some breaks to go your way, and they gave up a lot of draft capital, so I'm sure it's going to be a very veteran-heavy team. Not going to be much youth there, but I mean, shoot, I think if things break their way, they could pull it off, but we shall see. Speaking of the Saints, I mean, the Saints quarterback situation still very much in flux, with Jameis Winston a free agent and Drew Brees still not having officially announced his retirement, although I think it's a given that Drew will announce that here shortly. I think the week after the Super Bowl, don't be surprised if we see a press conference where Drew announces that he is done for good. It's going to be tough for him to give it up officially because, I mean, he's so competitive and he's got to be a little sour taste in his mouth, the fact that the Saints went out again and just kind of like they failed to live up to expectations again. But I just think it's more his health. I mean, the injuries, I think, is what's really going to did him in this year. I mean, I feel like if wasn't for that, I think he might want to run it back again. But I just think with the injuries, it's clear that they clearly hampered his performance down the stretch. He just wasn't the same guy after the broken ribs, the collapsed lung. He also is dealing with a rotator cuff potentially. Some people, his wife could, I think, said it was torn. I mean, if he really was playing with a torn rotator cuff on top of all that other stuff, then I mean, he's gutsy. I tip my hat to him for playing and trying to finish it out. But man, he just. Oh man, I would hate for him to come back and get re-injured, but I don't think he's coming back. I think any talk of that is silly. I mean, just look at his body language after that game with Tampa. Look at the way he went on the field with his wife and kids. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that this is it. So, assuming he does call it quits, we got a potential quarterback controversy on our hands. Who's it going to be, Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston? Although Jameis Winston not officially a Saint for next year. A lot of people penciling Jameis in as if he's already signed for next year and is going to be the Saints starting quarterback, but he is not signed. He's very much a free agent, and a lot of teams are hungry for a quarterback. The Indianapolis Colts, they had some crazy rumors that Andrew Luck might be coming out of retirement. Really? I mean, I love Andrew Luck. I wish he would come out of retirement. Shoot, I'd love for the Saints to get him. Yeah, come on, Andrew, come out of retirement. We'll take you. We'll take you in the black and gold. But Andrew Luck, as a Colts owner, Jim Irsay said, very much retired, even more so than he was before. And I believe it. Andrew Luck his whole vibe is he's just wired different. He doesn't seem like your typical athlete per se, and not a knock on him. He seems like a great guy. He seems like somebody that'd be, cool to talk about life with type of guy. But just doesn't seem like your typical like let's go play football type. Just like he seems more just kind of on a different wavelength, I guess. So I mean, I don't know the guy personally. That's kind of the vibe I get from him. So I highly doubt he comes back. So, yeah, the Colts are going to really be hungry for a quarterback. They're one of the teams that could be in the Jameis sweepstakes. The Bears. Of course, that's where I predicted Jameis to go in last week's episode. I think there's a good chance he could very well leave New Orleans if he gets the right offer. If someone comes at him with either a multi-year offer with guaranteed money or a one-year deal with that like 15 million plus. I think he'd be willing to. If he doesn't really get much attention, I think he'd be willing to come back to the Saints on like a 1 or 2 year deal for 10 million a year, take a little team friendly discount. Assuming he's on good terms with everybody in New Orleans, which it seems like he is. Sean Payton seems to like him. So I mean, I know the Saints are in cap hell, but I think they could afford that. That's not really breaking the bank. I mean, they might even be able to go up a little more, to get to sweeten the pot. But if someone, like I said, if someone comes at him with a really lucrative deal, I don't see him turning that down. I mean, look at Teddy Bridgewater last year. I'm not saying Jameis will get an offer quite that big, but I mean, Teddy got paid, and I mean, it was adios. I mean, he had good relationships with everybody, but I mean, it's a business at the end of the day. I mean, and Same thing with Jameis, and the Saints definitely can't afford to franchise tag him, and nor should they, even if they could. I mean, Jameis Winston, I don't believe is a franchise quarterback. Even if the Saints do re-sign him and tab him as a starter next year, he's a stopgap option. I feel like he'd be a bridge quarterback to whoever. Though hopefully the Saints could draft somebody to be Drew's successor. Even Taysom Hill. I mean, I love Taysom Hill. I hope that Jameis goes and that we spend that money elsewhere and that we build around Taysom Hill. That's what I want. I feel like a lot of people have said that that's stupid, that he's not a legitimate NFL quarterback, but I don't buy that, yo. I think Taysom Hill really is, but has starting quarterback potential. I watched those 4 games he played. I mean, I watch the Saints every week, and he really looked good. He really looked. I'm not saying he didn't look spectacular. He wasn't as good as the way Breeze was prior to injury, but I mean, he was still, though, the offense wasn't terrible, and they controlled the clock. The defense did their thing. I mean, wasn't like amazing football to watch, but it was productive football. It was gritty. They got it done. They did what they needed to do. I mean, I wasn't complaining. I was not complaining at all about Taysom Hill being under center, and I feel like that's a sign that in a way Peyton, yeah, he's talking good about Jameis, but I think in the back of his mind, part of him's like, man, let's just run this thing with Taysom. Some people said, oh, if you have Winston starting, you can use Taysom as the secret weapon type thing still, but I don't know, man. It seems like we're using him as a secret weapon. He doesn't really get used much. I mean, he's just kind of used sparingly. Where if he's the quarterback, I mean, he's gonna be playing every snap, and he's somebody that I feel like he's a winner. Like he's a guy that I would go to war with. He's not the most talented quarterback in the world by any means. But I think he's a warrior, and I would be down for him as the Saints starting quarterback for the next 2 to 3 years if needed. And then hopefully by then, Sean Payton will have found hopefully the next Patrick Mahomes. I mean, the Saints would have drafted Patrick Mahomes in 2017 if he'd have been there. So hopefully can find the next Mahomes and let him rock for the next 15, 20 years. So we shall see. And then the Deshaun Watson trade rumors are very much still hot and heavy at this time. Watson announced most recently, I don't know if he announced it per se, but like it was in the news. Maybe his agent announced it, that he would be okay with a trade to the New York Jets, which is pretty big to me because I feel like the Jets are the team that has the most to offer. So the fact that he's already clear that he's okay with that tells me that like he's pretty much cool with being moved wherever. I mean, I don't really see. Like, I mean, the Jets, I mean, that's a team that just don't really have much going for them other than that, they got a good coach, Robert Saleh, potentially really good head coach there in his first year. It'll be his first year, but I mean, shoot, I think the Jets, if they could pull off this Watson deal, I mean, they could be really good next year. I'm not saying they'd be like Super Bowl contender, but I think they'd be a wild card contender for sure, and would be probably the second best team in the AFC East, assuming they can kind of build up that defense, which I think they'll be able to under Salah, and he's a defensive-minded coach. So, I mean, yeah, I think a trade there would be cool. A trade at Miami, that would really shake things up. Tua would probably go to Houston at that point. That would be pretty wild storyline, traded after just 1 year with Tua. And so I still think those would probably be the favorites. Other teams, I think the Panthers try to go after Stafford. They're going to be in the mix for Watson since they're not too happy with Teddy Bridgewater right now. We mentioned they gave him that big contract, but they could get out of it. So, I mean, I don't know. I think it's an easy out. Kind of like the 49ers with Jimmy Garoppolo. 49ers have been tied to a lot of quarterbacks this offseason, I mean, even like the crazy Aaron Rodgers rumors, which have died down because he ain't going nowhere. At least not after this coming season. Maybe for 2022, but not for 21. So those have died down. Now the Watson rumors are flying heavy, though, and I still think the Jets are the favorite. I picked him to go to the Jets last week, and that's where I think he'll end up just because, I mean, it's a business, and they've got the most to offer. So I don't see anyone being able to outbid them in trades. So I think assuming if Salah's all in, which I believe he is, I think they'll be able to pull that off. But we shall see. Nothing's a given in this business. I mean, the NFL it's always, that's why we talk about it. I mean, it's fun to talk about because it's so unpredictable. But I mean, we'll see what happens here with Deshaun. Hopefully end up in a better place than Houston. Some I still think he's going to stay there, you know, because new coach David Culley. Kind of feel bad for him because, I mean, he's walking into a situation where, yeah, he's got this star player, but he don't even want to, he wants no part of it. And it's not Culley's fault. I mean, he's just, I mean, he took the job. I mean, he was offered it, he took it. I mean, it's just, man, I don't know. That's going to be tough. And I mean, he's kind of old for a first year head coach. So if he's going to have to walk into a total rebuild, that's going to be a lot to ask for him. Maybe they're just thinking, you know, hopefully he can convince Watson to come back. And if not, well, he'll probably just be a bridge coach, you know. But we shall see. We shall see what happens there. Will be a lot of definitely something we'll be revisiting in the coming weeks. So let's get into the Super Bowl stuff, y'all. Let's get into the Super Bowl talk. You know, Chiefs Bucks. Man, what a game! I'm really looking forward to this one. I hope the Chiefs can do it. I think they will. You know, I think they will. I got my money on Patrick Mahomes and that offense. They are so good. They face each other in the regular season. Ended up a 3-point game. I believe it was 27-24, if I'm remembering right. And the line set at -3. You know, I thought it was 3.5. You know, I thought the Chiefs favored by 3.5 at that point. I may have taken Tampa Bay, but I feel like that 3, with that 3, just that solid 3, I'm going to have to put my money on KC, you know. I honestly probably would have still bet on them. I mean, I think they'll win, I would think by more than 3. I mean, logically speaking, you know, they match up better. I mean, they just seem like they're the superior team. I mean, shoot, Tampa was a wild card, had to come up through the. I mean, look here. I mean, look at the step ladder they had to take. I mean, KC was the #1 seed, so I mean, logically speaking, KC should win fairly handily, but never know. I mean, it's hard to bet against Tom Brady. I mean, he's defied the odds to this point. I mean, he spoiled the party for not only Breeze but also Rodgers. I mean, two of the greats. So I mean, yeah. I definitely think Tampa could pull it off, but if I had to bet on this one, I'm gonna bet the Chiefs. I bet on the Chiefs last year, won a little cash. I think I might do the same this year, and hope we can run it back. With all y'all betting, I would bet the house on KC. Maybe not the house. Don't do anything stupid now. But I'd put a few hundred on it if I had the money. I'll probably just put like 50 to 100. I think I put 50 last year. Just a little friendly 50, you know, just for fun. Nothing where it's gonna make or break me. But for those of y'all that like to drop your nuts and go all in, well, if you're feeling the Andy Reid, how about those Chiefs? You know, and Mahomes, like, shoot, do it. Do it. Might as well run the Bomberooski, right? but but yeah, I'd say the 5. I wrote down a few keys to the matchup. I'd say honestly the biggest key to this matchup, and I think this is what could be the difference, and this is what could put Tampa Bay over the top. Can Patrick Mahomes thrive without his left tackle Eric Fisher? Eric Fisher was the #1 draft pick of the Chiefs back like 2013. It was back the Chiefs had the #1 pick. And they had no good quarterbacks in that draft class. It was like the draft was like Geno Smith and EJ Manuel. It was like the worst year to have the freaking first pick. Chiefs fans are probably like, damn, we finally get first pick and there's freaking no quarterbacks to pick. Like, this is bullshit. Like, they're probably so mad, but they ended up getting a franchise left tackle out of the deal in Eric Fisher. He's treated him well. He started, I think, almost every game since on what's now 2013, almost a decade now of protecting the blind side of whoever's under center. Alex Smith there for a while, and then now Mahomes. But yeah, Fisher gonna be out for Sunday. Will not be playing, unfortunately. But I believe it was a leg injury, so he will not be there. So that's gonna allow Tampa Bay. I mean, they've got some sharks on that defensive line. They've got some hungry sharks looking for blood. Jason Pierre-Paul, Shaq Barrett. I mean, so Mahomes, they're gonna whoever like the next man up is gonna have to be really ready. I mean, because if Tampa can get some serious pressure on him, I know he's the best in the game right now. I know they think Tom Brady's the GOAT. Well, Mahomes is the GOAT of right now. Like, he's the greatest of, I don't know how you'd even say, he's the GOAT of like the past 3 years, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, he's been really good. And I mean, you know what you're getting there. He's money in the bank. He's so solid, so consistent, and he's got upside. Like, even when he's not like on per se, He's not terrible. When he's on, he's really on. The thing is, though, he really did well against Tampa Bay when they played in the regular season, and he's the type I feel like I don't know. I mean, I feel like as long as the replacement tackle can at least do, average per se. I'm not gonna say he's not gonna be probably be on Fisher's level, but Mahomes is such a smart quarterback. Even at his age, he's not like it's only his fourth year starting, I think, or third. No, third, because he didn't play his rookie year. This is his fourth year. It's only his third year starting, but he plays almost like a veteran as far as like he doesn't make those costly mistakes that some quarterbacks, even at older ages, make. Like Brett Favre, for example, is still making those just what I'd call almost like rookie mistakes, where Mahomes just doesn't seem to make those. So I feel like as long as this replacement tackle can play at a replacement level, then it won't affect anything. It's just if this guy is just a total joke there, I mean, and if Tampa's just getting like just free reign, then it's like, well, it's gonna be tough, It's gonna be tough at that point, but I think the Chiefs will be okay. I think they'll be just fine as far as that. And then the next key, I'd say, assuming Mahomes is on his A game, can Tom Brady go toe to toe with him? I'm not sure. I mean, I know he's got the weapons and everything, but I mean, KC's got a solid defense. I mean, with the Honey Badger and stuff, I mean, they've got some playmakers on that defense. I mean, Tom Brady really struggled down the stretch in the NFC Championship game. I mean, he's just lucky that Green Bay didn't pounce. I mean, he basically gifted it to him on a silver platter, and Green Bay didn't take it. So, I mean, I'm a little concerned. I mean, I know Tom Brady's getting all the clout. He's immortal, the GOAT, and all that. But, I mean, this is a Super Bowl against the Chiefs have been the best team in the league the past few years. I mean, I don't think they're not gonna choke as far as like turning it over. I don't feel like the Saints and Packers did, or the Packers didn't really turn over, just missed opportunities. The Chiefs, they've been there. They did it last year. They know this moment. They know how to get it done. The moment's not gonna be too big for them. It's not gonna be like Tom Brady's gonna walk up in there. Oh, I'm the GOAT, and be able to intimidate them. I mean, the Chiefs have been here before. They know the drill. They know what to do. Shoot, they had Brady on the ropes in 2019 in the AFC Championship game. They let him off the hook, but I mean, there was some kind of questionable officiating there. I mean, it was kind of one of those. It could have gone either way. It wasn't like Mahomes just folded. I mean, Mahomes is yet to ever fold up in a playoff game, and I don't expect him to do so here. We'll see though. So I picked Tampa to lose to the Saints and to the Packers and was wrong both times, and I'm gonna pick against them again here, and maybe they'll prove me wrong again. Maybe Tom Brady can be like, ha ha ha, told y'all. He could just keep laughing, doing his little videos. We won, and I can't stand all that, but I mean, he gets the results. I mean, you can't question his results. I mean, and what they do there in Tampa. I mean, they've got some goons there. I mean, he's got his goon squad. Mike Evans, AB expected to play, Chris Godwin, Gronk. I mean, he's got shooters. He's got shooters, but so does Pat Mahomes, man. So does Pat Mahomes. And I'd say this, so another big key. We talk all about Brady Mahomes, but I think what could really be an X factor is which defense can force the most turnovers. Turnovers are always key in big games, and I feel like whoever wins the turnover battle will likely win the game. I mean, even with the Saints, I picked the Saints to go far, but I'd always touch on the fact that if the Saints turn the ball over too much, well, that's it. That's a wrap. It's not gonna. That's it. I don't know. You're not gonna win by turning it over like that. And the Saints not only turned it over against Tampa, they just totally gave it away. I feel like they just gave the game away. And so with that, I feel like as long as KC though takes care of the ball, and if they can force some turnovers, like Green Bay actually forced turnovers last week on Brady, but they just didn't take advantage. I think if KC can force those turnovers, they will take advantage. I'm not at all concerned about that for Patrick Mahomes and company. And then I also feel like it's going to be a question of can anyone establish a run? I know neither team's a run first team, but let's say somebody gets a lead, right? Can you establish the run and keep the other offense off the field? I feel like that'll be very important to whoever jumps out early. Because if you jump out early, you want to keep the other team off the field. Because if you jump out early But you set yourself up. But Mahomes and Brady are both great quarterbacks in the fourth quarter. So in a way, if you jump out to an early lead, your running backs, if you're Tampa, Rojo, Fournette, KC, Bell, Clyde, Darrell Williams, you better get your running backs in gear and tell them, look, y'all better be ready to carry the load here down the stretch because we cannot let the other guy onto the field and risk losing this game. We've got to control some clock. We've got to chew clock. And that's something Tampa seemed to do better here down the stretch, kind of establish their own more. Brady seems like he's been more efficient a lot of weeks as a passer. Not as much with the throwing it up for grabs, although last week it's just, yeah, I just feel like everything's going in KC's favor. I feel like, those running backs will be able to, if they do get the lead, those running backs should be able to get the job done enough to where Tampa won't just have free reign. But, I mean, we'll see. I mean, the KC running game, honestly, has not been very good this year. And Tampa's hadn't been that great either. It's been a little better than KC's. But I just feel like, a lot of people just don't really worry about the running games, especially with these teams, because of Brady Mahomes. But I feel like that could be somewhat of a factor potentially. So yeah, and then the last thing I'd say would kind of be, I guess, just the amount of skill players, particularly Travis Kelce. Can the Bucks and the linebackers, Devin White, Levante David, can they stop this guy? I mean, or will it be a safety corner? I don't know what look they'll give to stop Kelce. I mean, he is like a wide receiver out there. He leads the team in receiving. I think he had even more than Tyreek Hill. I mean, so Kelce is like a number one receiver, target hog. Can they slow him down? And I mean, Tyreek Hill had his best game of the year when they played Tampa this year. So I mean, it's just, man, can Tampa stop these guys? I don't know. I mean, we shall see. I know Tampa's got their share of goons, but I don't know, man. I think I'd put my money on the Chiefs. They're so strong right now, and I believe the game, yeah, 27-24. That one went auto. KC had a huge lead. Tampa, though, like I said, was able to come back, though, because I don't think KC in that game, they weren't really able to establish their run, and so they weren't really able to chew clock down the stretch, and that allowed Brady to damn near come back on them. So Kansas City, even if they jump out to a big lead, they're going to need Clyde and company to chew up some yards on the ground. They can't let Tampa Bay get the ball back a bunch down the stretch and allow another Brady comeback. And so with that, I believe my prediction, though, I'm going to go with 31-27. Chiefs take it. I think it'll be pretty back and forth. I think it'll be kind of like a heavyweight fight, blow for blow. It'll be trading blow for blow. But I'm going to have to go with KC to pull it off here and take home Super Bowl 54, I believe. I may have butchered that, but if I did, I'm sorry. But I'm pretty sure that's what we're on now. KC, baby. KC. How about those Chiefs? I think, and they got the coaching. I feel like, yeah, Bruce Arians, he's a pretty good coach. Kind of lets Brady do his thing. But Andy Reid and those guys, Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy are so good. So good at, play calling, making those gutsy decisions. Like that 4th and 1, for example, with Chad Henne. A lot of coaches would not have had the nuts to do that. And Andy Reid did it. I mean, it was just, they got it done. They pulled that game off. Didn't even allow the to come back. The Browns weren't even, they didn't even give it the ball back to them. It's crazy to think the Browns kind of gave the Chiefs the scare. Just imagine if we'd had a Browns-Bucs Super Bowl. That would have been freaking wild. That would be insane. But that just, yeah, even if they would have gotten the ball back, it wouldn't have guaranteed anything. But yeah, I'm going Chiefs, y'all. Going Chiefs. Chiefs all day over Tampa Bay. And I feel like this, Tom Brady is going to run it back next year, win, lose, or draw. Unless he would get some, like, ridiculously awful injury, which we obviously hope that don't happen. Even so, I feel like he's so determined to set the records and come back and all that. He'll try to rehab his way back, unless it's some gruesome, like, leg type thing. So I'm pretty sure that Tampa will be intact next year. Won't be a thing where if they lose, they're just gonna blow it up. No, they're gonna. I think they'll be intact. Everyone I think will be back. AB, I don't know. I mean, if someone comes at him with a nice contract, he might leave, but he's still got that legal baggage, so he might have to settle for another cheap 1 year contract with Tampa. And then the Chiefs are another one. Like, they've got their goons locked up, Kelsey, Mahomes, Hill. I mean, they'll be good to go. They're gonna be ridiculously high in fantasy next year. I probably won't be drafting many Chiefs next year just because I feel like those three, I feel feeling Kelsey's going to be a consensus, and Hill be consensus first rounders. Not that they didn't earn that, but they're not going to be great values at that price. Second round, like this year, I was thinking that might be a little too high, but they proved that they were well worth that. I wish I'd had more shares of them for sure. But first round, man, that's just gonna be such a steep price to pay for like a non-running back. But I mean, they produce, so might just have to do it. We'll see. And then I mean, Tampa Bay and Mike Evans, really good. Chris Godwin, also a free agent. Chris Godwin, you would think they'd be able to re-sign him, but might just opt to re-sign AB for cheap and let Godwin go. But that would leave a bit of a hole as a third receiver spot. But I think Gronk will likely be back, so we'll see. But yeah, definitely whoever wins, I don't think it'll be a lot. It won't really affect next year all that much. All the teams that made it far should be fair. I mean, the Rams, though, I mean, they shook things up. Got Stafford. The Saints likely have a new guy under center. But I mean, most of these teams, I mean, teams with those like the established younger type quarterbacks, I think will they'll all be good. They'll all be good. Other teams that made the playoffs. Yeah, Washington and the Bears, they didn't really deserve it. I mean, neither team was that good, but both have good defense. It's going to be like Seattle. That's one that could be in a little bit of flux. They got a new OC. I mean, Russell Wilson, of course, will be back. They might make some wholesale changes there. Pittsburgh, too, might be under construction a good amount on offense. I think Big Ben will be back for another year, but I guess you never know. And then the Colts have a good roster, just not sure about their QB situation. But yeah, should be another fun year next year. Hopefully, a more normal off season. Unfortunately, Roger Goodell came out and said there's gonna be to the start to the new league year gonna be pretty much all virtual, which sucks. I was really hoping that it could be back to normal, but with the COVID vaccine still not like very mainstream yet, probably won't be until the summer. Hopefully by the summer they can do everything, like mini camp, training camp. Hopefully by training camp things will be back to normal as far as the preseason, and so we don't have so many injuries. Man, I'm more concerned. It's not that I'm trying to be selfish, and I don't really care if we have like preseason as far as entertainment. I just wanted to make sure that these guys don't get injured. I don't want it to become where guys are retiring young because they didn't have the proper training with this crazy virtual crap, and then to where they just be like, screw this isn't worth it. And then, I mean, so hopefully things can get back to normal. So again, we can get the in-person training, because I feel like there's just some things in life you just can't make up for virtually, and I feel like the training as a team is one of them, especially in something like the NFL, where it's so intense. It's not like a thing where you can just write down do 10 push-ups here, this, that. I mean, it's deeper than that. I mean, it's deeper than that. So hopefully it can get back to normal as far as that. Chiefs, though, I got the Chiefs 31-27, and we'll leave it at that for our NFL talk. And to cap this thing off, we are going to get in to some NBA talk. Let's put this little score in here before we get into this NBA talk, which I'm excited about. I'm starting to get into the NBA a little more here. With the NFL, was kind of when the season just started, it was kind of hard to get super into it with my Saints in the middle of a playoff run. But now you got some time to sit back and observe it. I mean, it's looking like it's looking like it'll be a fun year. A lot of teams in the mix in both conferences. Obviously the Nets now at their big three of KD, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, the obvious favorites out east. But I mean, there's still some teams that have some shooters, some really good. Giannis is going to have something to say about that. He's going to be hungry for redemption after last year's early exit, So they're gonna be some. The Celtics will probably be in it with Jason Tatum. I mean, they've got teams. It's not like the way the East used to be, where it's all a bunch of pushovers. 76ers with Simmons and Embiid. I mean, you got teams that could creep in there, but definitely think the Nets and the Big Three will be able to at least go to the finals. But it's definitely not a given. Definitely not a given. And in the West, the West is at the top right now. It's Jazz and the two LA teams. I would have to say, though, I would still put my money on the LA Lakers and LeBron. He's been in the lately. He's just LeBron. I'm just gonna start calling it LeBron being LeBron. He's just brash and controversial. That's just is who he is. He's just that kind of figure. He's kind of like in a way the hero, but he still has a lot of the traits of the villain. He's very like just kind of he's just big bad LeBron James. He's kind of a bully. He's kind of the bad guy in a lot of ways, but I mean his play on the court, he always backs it up with his play on the court, so you can't really bitch at it. I mean he backs it up. He talks a lot of shit, but he backs it up. So I mean, if you're gonna talk a lot of shit, you gotta back it up, and he's been doing that all these years. So I'm not gonna bet against him. He's got a good supporting cast, arguably an even better supporting cast than what he had last year. So I mean, yeah, and the Clippers, though, I definitely think will get to the Western Conference Finals this year and could give them a little trouble, but again, I know I love Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. I really hope they get some redemption, kind of like Giannis. I mean, last year my finals pick was Bucks Clippers, and neither team even made it to the conference finals, I don't think, much less the finals. I'm pretty sure Miami beat Boston in the conference finals last year in the East, and I think in the West it was the Nuggets. Yeah, Lakers over the Nuggets. So, I mean, my finals prediction was a total flop. Although the bubble may have had something to do with that. The bubble changed a lot of stuff, I mean, like Paul George, they said just was not even mentally there in the bubble. I don't know what it was about the bubble, but some guys it didn't bother them. Other guys just kind of folded, but this year it'll be more normal as far as that. Hopefully we can get through the season. The NBA's had a lot of COVID issues. A lot of players like LeBron, for example, not happy that they're having the All-Star game in the midst of all this COVID junk. So hopefully they can get through it. It's kind of, oh man, I hope. I mean, I like my basketball. I mean, it's not, I mean, football's my favorite, but I really hope we can get through this basketball thing to give us something to talk about a little bit while football's on the down low. And then my fantasy hoops, for those that play fantasy hoops, got a couple teams. One of my teams is doing really good, 6-0. My little team on Sleeper, a 12-man league, started with Fantasy Flo Joe and some dudes. Shout out to Flo Joe. He's a big sports fan, card guy into both football and basketball. Big shout out to him on Instagram at Fantasy Flo Joe. And yeah, I'm playing him this week, trying to get to 7-0. My team is loaded right now, led by two of the big three for the Nets, Kyrie and KD, along with Nikola Jokic. Not sure I managed to get all three of those on my team in a 12-man league, but I was somehow able to do so. And it's been the payoff's been quite handsome. My team it's kicking ass. It's been a lot of fun, but unfortunately in the other league I'm in with Complicated Kai and company and the fantasy football guy, two great accounts. Y'all make sure to go follow them as well at Complicated Kai at Fantasy Football Guy. That league's been giving me a little trouble. I mean, that league has been tough. My first round pick has just had a brutal season between injury and COVID. Carl Anthony Towns. I mean, he's been really good in the 2 or 3 games he's played in, but he hadn't been able to play. That's killed my team. And then Jason Tatum, my second pick, got COVID. I mean, he's back now, but I mean, it's like, man, it kind of put my team in that league in a pretty big hole, 2-4 right now, unfortunately, but trying to claw my way out of it. Got to up big this week, so should be back to 3-4. Hopefully, get back to 500 at 4-4, and what'll be the halfway point after 8 weeks. We'll play 16 regular season weeks, so hopefully can make a comeback in that league, but we shall see. Also have Paul George. He was my third pick. He's done really good. I was able to get him at a good value. I think a lot of people overreacted to his down time in the bubble, because he's been really good this year. He's come back with a vengeance. So glad to have him on the squad. So yeah, that's that with fantasy hoops. Y'all we'll try and get some fantasy hoops content up on Instagram soon. So y'all keep up with that at Spencer the Guru. And yeah, make sure y'all go follow, subscribe, all that jazz. And we'll cap this thing off with some Pels talk, y'all. I know a lot of y'all, NOLA people, my Louisiana people. Y'all like the Pels, I like the Pels. So listen here, to all my Pels people, don't panic. Don't panic, y'all. It's not worth stressing over this right now. A lot of Pels fans I know are kind of like, oh, we're so terrible. Oh my gosh, we can't shoot. We can't defend. Oh, like they're just like, it's like, God, chill. Chill out, y'all. It's not the end of the world. I was not, yes, I picked us to make the playoffs this year, but I was not expecting to be any sort of contender. I was just hoping to make the playoffs and then LeBron or Kawhi, whoever, they'll just sweep us and we'll go home. We'll be glad we made the playoffs. Which, I mean, would be cool, but even if we don't make it, it's not the end of the world. It's not like we're a finals contender. I know it's discouraging that a lot of the bench pieces have been disappointments. The guard play has not really been very good. The big man play, I mean, Adams has been okay, but, I mean, he hadn't really but we weren't expecting him to be something amazing. I mean, Zion has had his share of defensive deficiencies, but I tell you what, Zion is a puppy that's growing into something, and he's a puppy that's growing into a big Rottweiler. Like, he's somebody that, yeah, sleep on him. Yeah, sleep on Zion. Talk shit on Zion. Yeah, Zion. Yeah, he's not good. Yeah, he's a disappointment. Bet. Bet. Get back to me 2, 3 years from, maybe 5 years from now. Yeah, y'all tell me, y'all gonna be telling me he's a bust? Y'all gonna be telling me he's a bust, huh? Yeah, okay. Keep running your mouth. Keep running your mouth about Zion being a bust. Okay. Okay. Not that a whole lot of y'all are. I know most people are still giving him his respect, but every now and then you'll get a hater that's like, Zion, he ain't that good. But Zion is the real deal. And he's been able to be healthy this year. That's the thing. I'm happy that he's been able to stay healthy. Last year, his rookie year, he was banged up all year. He's healthy this year. He's finally starting to get into a groove. BI's done his shit. I mean, the Pels are rolling with those two. They just got to get the proper support. The support is not there. It's clear and obvious. That's why they have a losing record. They're not a contender right now because they don't really have they don't have enough pieces around them, and so I'm hoping at some point they'll be able to, I know they did the Drew Holiday deal, which was, I mean, if they had Drew Holiday right now, I feel like they'd be in a lot better place as far as being a playoff contender. I feel like part of the reason they did that trade, though, was to kind of, in a way, kind of just get younger, which is, I mean, if you do that route, you decide to get that much younger, which they're really young right now, you can't expect to be an instant contender. You're going to have probably 2 or 3 kind of, not necessarily terrible seasons, but you're probably not going to be any sort of contender for the next few years. You've got to be able to trust the process. And as a fan, once they traded Drew Holiday, that made me realize, like, damn, we're going to have to sit back here. It's kind of discouraging, because with Drew, I feel like I said, we would be a playoff team, but without him, we're not. I mean, we're not there, so we just gotta keep climbing, though. And I mean, if Zion and Bi can keep doing their thing, the supporting cast can step up. Might make a late push, but as of now, not looking that great. Although they beat Phoenix the other night, beat Phoenix pretty big. I mean, so yeah, I'm gonna say, don't give up, don't panic. Don't panic. The Pels are looking good for the future, so. Feeling good with big Zion leading the way. So, all right, Guru Nation. Well, I think that's gonna wrap it up here for this one. Really appreciate everyone that tuned in. We're gonna start having. I keep saying it, and one of these days it's gonna happen. We're gonna have to start having more guests. I know y'all probably like, where are the guests? Where are the guests? Where are they? You're tired of just seeing you, but we're gonna get some guests. I promise. I promise. We're gonna get some guests. Where that's going to be our mission after the Super Bowl, our all-season mission. Get some guests lined up. And I think the biggest issue, honestly, will be hopefully we'll be able to stream them to where we can have them on the screen. If not, we might have to do phone line at first, but hopefully we can have it to where we can see us going back and forth. But anyway, all right, appreciate it, everyone that tuned in. Hope y'all enjoy the Super Bowl this Sunday, and for those NBA people, we get some more NBA people listening. For those that like that, it's popping off regular season. Playoffs be here before we know it. But I know a lot of y'all football, so enjoy y'all Super Bowl. Have a good day. Be safe, and we out this thing, Goo Nation. Peace.